Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. Today, we have some really good news from New Mexico's Roundhouse. Senate Bill 171 has been tabled with a vote 6-3. What does that mean? That means that in this session, the odds of an assault weapons ban and a modern sporting rifle ban, more specifically, and a magazine ban, are almost nil. House Bill 101 is still rolling. That's the delay. That's one that I kind of suspect that there'll be a compromise in their opinion to let it slide. House Bill 9 will probably pass. That's the safe storage of firearms. Those are the two that are going to be the game changers that the session is going to take as we won. Now, in the national news, there's tons of cases going on against the pistol ban now, pistol brace ban. So that's good if you have a braced pistol. Either way, I don't really think you should comply because we're at that point that the government has shown how irrelevant they are. And case in point is look at the last 2 years. Let's get to the news that revolves around that. It came out yesterday that the lab leak is more than a theory. The Department of Energy came out and said that it was highly probable that COVID came from a lab in China. That should exonerate a lot of quote-unquote conspiracy theorist people. We kind of all had that running around in our back of our mind. But it shows and highlights, yet again, how much the government hates you. They don't care. In the news, there's been two different incidences, one on The View and one on another show, where commentators just went off and said that the people in West Lebanon, or East Lebanon, whatever it is in Ohio, where the chemical spill caused by the EPA now, after a rail derailment, is the fault of the people that live there because they voted a certain way. Media and the government hate you. And until you start seeing that, there is no compromise. What I mean by that is, every time you compromise with them, you're giving ground to them. Just to find out later, they absolutely hate you. So why are you still listening to the government, period? The government has become totally irrelevant. And why I say that is, look at the education system. If you look at Baltimore and Illinois now, I bet it's the same in New Mexico in some places. They have 0 reading and mathematics proficient in some school districts. I wonder what New Mexico's is, since we were already last in education. Because I can bet that there's probably some of those in the 83 school districts in New Mexico that have the same problem here. That reading and writing proficiency is down so much, not only because of the COVID stuff, but because of the stuff that's been going on in the classroom for this long. In those bigger inner cities, this has snowballed to a point that people are noticing. In rural New Mexico, where everything is spread out, I wonder what the numbers are. And it wouldn't shock me a damn bit to find out we have some of the same problems in some of the school districts, with 1 or 2 schools having 0 reading proficiency, because education has been infiltrated for a long time now. Good-hearted administrators and teachers have been seeing it for years, and they're finally getting wise to decide this isn't worth the fight anymore. I would advocate strongly that those really good teachers and administrators get together and form mobile pods. Let's end education altogether, public education. Let's bring market-based education to the masses on the same level and the same vigor with the same quality that they used to perform for the public education, but now they're doing it for parents that are paying them directly. I am all for school choice now. So much so that I think that your tax dollars should follow your kid. However you want to make that happen, I think it's cool. I think it's very disingenuous that they're taking your tax dollars for a product that is substandard. And it has been for years. I can say that with great authority for 12 years. It used to be the school district I worked for. You would see progress from elementary, and it was a direct parabola going up, right up until their last year of their middle school. Then you would see it increasingly go down. Now, the reason why that is twofold. Kids, as they mature, get less involved in school. Parents check out. That's one factor. The other factor is teachers at those levels pretty much gave up. Or they became so dogmatic in their thought process that they intimidated people at the higher level, administrator level, and there was no way to get them out of those particular roles because they were so entrenched. Administrators finally gave up, finally got tired of trying to throw spaghetti at the wall. But to get back what I was saying about the COVID stuff, because I think that's very interesting. If it's finally coming out some 3 years after the fact that none of this stuff was effective, the lockdowns didn't work, the shots don't work like they were advertised as, natural immunity is just as good. These are all things we all said were a thing before the news validated us. So, how many times has the news lied to us? Why is it that we're seeing more and more gun violence highlighted on the news? I suspect that stuff always happens and always has happened. But they've used that to craft the narrative that guns are bad, okay? And this is where they're going with that. But if anything we've learned after the riots in Ferguson and after the COVID stuff, that there is no one that's coming to defend you. It's just you. So are you going to give up the one tool ever that could make a difference between your life or death? You have, on the best case scenario, you have a 5-minute window before the law enforcement agents can get to you. What happens in 5 minutes? In most rural New Mexico cities, you have 15, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour before you're ever going to see a law enforcement agent. What happens in that time frame? Are you willing to succumb to that and allow whatever happens because the other person was armed and you can't fight them, and you can't stop them? I'm not. I'm not willing to let my friends or anyone around me be that way. There's too many times in my life that I have been defenseless for one reason or another, and I refuse to be that way at the age of 45. I've decided I am done doing that. And I have decided after working for the state in a matter of fact way that there is nothing I want more than to have the state, the entire state, stay out of my way and stay out of my business. I will pay the theft taxes I have to pay if it gets them the hell out of my way and I never have to see them again. Because the way I see it, it's a waste of money, because all the American tax dollars and New Mexican tax dollars we spend gets pissed away on stuff that isn't making a difference in anyone's life. You dump money into the school system, you're not seeing any product coming out that's getting better. So why are we having to pay for that? We pay for roads in New Mexico. Drive on New Mexico roads and tell me they're better than what they've ever been. You go at the national level, every dollar we put in seems to keep going to foreign powers to do gender studies or to buy tanks. The government seems like more of a racket than I ever thought possible. And it took 45 years for me to get to this point to see it. I was a statist. I was one of those people that was, like I said, back the blue, And there was an incident on the 17th where our local sheriff had to shoot a dog. In this case, I back the reason why he shot the dog. He went to make a stop outside of ours because he saw someone swerving. And in New Mexico, we have a problem with drunk driving or intoxicated driving. So he wanted to stop someone from possibly getting hurt. Dude jumped out of his car with a pipe. Dog comes out to defend the owner, but the dog is menacing towards Shane, the sheriff of Salmon County. Shane loves dogs too. I mean, he has like 2 or 3. But that dog was going to hurt him, and he had to kill it. Again, I understand that, and that's how a lot of the ATF agents would say that's how things rolled there, and why they ended up killing ATF dogs. Not being an apologist, though. That's still bad. The fact of the matter is, what got that person to that point? Were they drunk? What caused society, or what caused that guy to get drunk and drive? We have a mental health problem that we're not talking about. And we need to start talking more and more about what people are doing and why they're doing it, and how much they should be allowed to get away with. Because cultists don't care. Right now you see too many people say, well, I respect the 2A, but there is no but. As I've said before, either you accept it or you don't. There is no but. And you cannot tell me, after the last 3 years, you have any right to tell me what the hell to do with my firearms. And that's how it's going to stay for me. I see the stuff showing up in the news time and time again, and it looks like we should have never listened to the government, because the government will lie to you, and we should never have ceded power enough to this great level that the government has this much power and can force so much of their will on the American people. Like, share, subscribe, be great.